There is a term that carries a heavy, almost suffocating weight: the black sheep. If you clicked on this video, you likely know the feeling intimately. It is the sensation of being the eternal outsider in your own home, the one who was always too sensitive, too difficult, or too rebellious. You were the one who asked the questions that made everyone uncomfortable at the dinner table. You were the one who refused to pretend that everything was perfect when it clearly wasn't. For years, your family may have made you feel like you were the broken link in the chain. They might have treated your independence as a betrayal and your boundaries as an attack. They projected their unresolved shame onto you, making you the scapegoat for the entire family's dysfunction. You grew up believing that if you could just be quieter or more agreeable or more like your siblings, maybe you would finally belong. But here is the psychological truth that they never told you, and that you desperately need to hear today. In a toxic or dysfunctional family system, the person labeled as the black sheep is almost never the sick one. In fact, they are often the most sane person in the room. You were not rejected because you were flawed. You were rejected because your light exposed their shadows. You possess a level of integrity that threatened the comfortable lies they lived by. You are not a mistake. You are what psychology calls a cycle breaker. You are the one chosen by life to face the generational trauma head-on and say, "This ends with me." It is a lonely path, yes, but it is also a heroic one. Today we are going to validate your reality. If you are the black sheep, you possess these 4 rare, hidden strengths that the rest of your family never developed. The first rare strength is the reality detector, uncompromising vision. Dysfunctional families operate on a currency of denial. Secrets are kept under the rug. Abuse is minimized. Addictions are ignored. Everyone agrees to play a role in a collective play called We Are a Perfect Family. Everyone agreed to the script except you. From a young age, you had an inability to tolerate falseness. When an uncle made a cruel joke, you didn't laugh. When a parent lied, you felt it in your gut. You are the child who pointed out that the emperor had no clothes. While your siblings or cousins may have learned to dissociate or manipulate to survive within the system, you maintained your connection to reality. This caused you pain, conflict, and punishment, but it forged a character of steel. In the real world, this translates to a superpower. You have a built-in lie detector. You can spot manipulation, gaslighting, and toxicity in a boss, a partner, or a friend from a mile away. You value truth over comfort. This makes you a person of immense integrity, someone who can be trusted to do the right thing, even when no one is watching. The second strength is high emotional autonomy. Most people rely heavily on their family for their sense of self-worth. If their mother approves, they feel good. If their father disapproves, they crumble. They are enmeshed. You, out of necessity, had to learn to survive without that approval. Because you were often criticized or misunderstood, you had to build your own internal generator of validation. You learned to self-soothe. You learned to define your own values, rather than just inheriting them blindly. This was a painful lesson, but the result is a rare form of independence. You are immune to emotional blackmail in a way that others are not. When society tries to pressure you, or when a partner tries to control you, you have the strength to walk away. You know you can survive alone because you have done it before. You are not desperate for belonging at the cost of your soul. This autonomy makes you a natural leader and a pioneer in your own life. The third strength is the courage to break generational curses. Think about the patterns that have plagued your family line. Maybe it is alcoholism. Maybe it is explosive anger. Maybe it is poverty mindset, racism, or emotional neglect. These traumas are like a baton passed in a relay race from generation to generation until it reached you. You are the cycle breaker. You are the dam that holds back the flood. When you choose to go to therapy, when you choose to parent your children with patience instead of screaming, when you choose to pursue your creative dreams instead of settling for the safe path they wanted for you, you are altering your DNA. You are absorbing the shockwaves of decades of trauma and refusing to pass them on. This is exhausting work. It is often thankless work, but it is the most important work a human being can do. You are clearing the path for those who come after you. You are the healer of your lineage, even if they never thank you for it. And finally, the fourth rare strength, the capacity for deep chosen connection. Because you learned early on that blood does not always equal safety, you do not take relationships for granted. You know that trust must be earned. Black sheep often build the most incredible chosen families. You attract friends, mentors, and partners who value you for who you truly are, not for who they want you to be. Your relationships are based on authenticity, vulnerability, and mutual respect, not on obligation or guilt. You have the power to create the home you never had. A home where emotions are allowed. A home where mistakes are forgiven. A home where individuality is celebrated. You took the bricks that were thrown at you and you built a sanctuary. So, if you feel lonely today, remember this. Being the black sheep is not a condemnation. It is a designation. You were the one strong enough to wake up. The price was high, I know. The isolation was cold. But the freedom you have now? It is real, and it is yours. You are not the problem. You are the answer they weren't ready to hear. If you are a cycle breaker, subscribe to the channel. Here, we are your tribe. We see you. Until next time. Now let's go deeper. Because to understand your power, we must first understand the environment that tried to suppress it. In psychology, there is a concept known as the identified patient. This is the person in a dysfunctional family who displays the symptoms of the family's sickness. The family points the finger at them and says, "Look, he is the angry one," or "she is the depressed one." But in reality, that person is often just the vessel for the unexpressed emotions of the entire group. You were the vessel, but you refused to stay broken. By rejecting their narrative, you developed the first of your rare strengths. Most people live their lives in a comfortable fog of white lies. In family systems, this is called enabling. The mother ignores the father's cruelty to keep the peace. The brother ignores the sister's addiction to avoid conflict. They trade truth for comfort. You, however, have a biological inability to tolerate this fog. You are the truth teller. Growing up, this felt like a curse. You were likely told you were too sensitive, dramatic, or imagining things. This is a form of psychological manipulation called gaslighting, an attempt to make you doubt your own perception of reality. But here is the irony. Because you had to fight so hard to trust your own eyes against a group of people telling you to close them, you have developed a reality detector of exceptional precision. In your adult life, this is a superpower. While others are easily swayed by charismatic narcissists, toxic bosses, or fake friends, you feel a visceral warning signal in your gut. You can sense inauthenticity from a mile away. You know when someone is smiling but thinking of betrayal. You know when an apology is sincere or just a manipulation tactic. You walked through the fire of gaslighting and came out with unshakable clarity. You don't just see people, you see through them. This protects you, and it protects the people you love. You are the sentinel who spots the wolf in sheep's clothing before anyone else does. Let's talk about enmeshment. In healthy families, children are encouraged to become individuals. In toxic families, individuality is seen as a threat. The unspoken rule is, if you are different from us, you are betraying us. Most people are terrified of this separation. They spend their entire adult lives making decisions based on fear. Fear of disappointing their parents, fear of being judged by their siblings, fear of being cut off. They remain emotional children, forever seeking a pat on the head. As the black sheep, you were forced to face that fear early. You were pushed out into the cold. You didn't get the pat on the head, you got the cold shoulder. It was painful, yes. It left scars. But look at what it built in you. Differentiation. You learned to survive without their applause. You learned to self-soothe when you were crying alone in your room. You learned to validate your own achievements because nobody else was clapping. Do you realize how rare this is? Most adults crumble without external validation. You don't. You possess a core of steel that was forged in isolation. You are not easily controlled by guilt or shame anymore because the worst thing, rejection, has already happened to you, and you survived it. You are free. You don't need permission to be who you are. You don't need them to understand you to be happy. That level of emotional freedom is something most people only dream of, but you earned it the hard way. This is your most heroic trait. Trauma is often described as a runaway train. It gathers speed with every generation. Your grandfather passed his pain to your father, who passed it to you. It's momentum. It's physics. Most people just stay on the train. It's easier to repeat the patterns we know, even the toxic ones, than to face the unknown. It's easier to yell at your kids because you were yelled at. It's easier to be emotionally closed off because that's what you saw at home. But you looked at the tracks ahead, saw the cliff, and you pulled the emergency brake. You are the cycle breaker. Do you have any idea of the strength required to stop a moving train with your bare hands? That is what you are doing when you choose to go to therapy. That is what you are doing when you choose to communicate with kindness instead of passive aggression. That is what you are doing when you pursue a career you love instead of one that looks good. You are absorbing the shockwaves of generations of dysfunction. It stops with you. You are acting as a biological filter, purifying the bloodline. Your children, or the people you mentor, or the friends you influence, they will never know the burden you carried. They will only know the love and safety you provide. They get the best of you because you process the worst of your past. You are the unsung hero of your family tree, pruning the rot so that new, healthy branches can finally grow. Finally, let's talk about love. There is a myth that the black sheep ends up lonely. The truth is quite the opposite. The black sheep ends up surrounded by quality. Because you learned that blood is not a guarantee of loyalty, you don't take relationships for granted. You don't keep people around just because you have to. You keep them around because they treat you with respect, kindness, and consistency. Your experience of being excluded has given you a profound gift, radical empathy. You know what it feels like to be left out. You know what it feels like to be misunderstood. So when you build your own circle, your chosen family, you build it differently. You are the friend who actually listens. You are the partner who fights fair. You create spaces where people feel safe to be vulnerable because you know the cost of having to hide your true self. You attract other cycle breakers. You attract the artists, the thinkers, the feelers, and the healers. Your connections are not based on obligation. They are based on resonance. And these bonds are often stronger than biology ever could be. You haven't lost a family. You have gained the capacity to build a true tribe. So take a deep breath. If you are the black sheep, stop looking at it as a defect. Stop trying to paint yourself white to blend in with the flock. The rejection was your protection. It pushed you away from a toxic system so you could heal enough to build something better. It forced you to find your own voice, your own strength, and your own truth. You are not the problem. You never were. You were the solution that they weren't ready for. Walk tall, cycle breaker. You have done the work. You have broken the chains. Now go live the life you fought so hard to save. If this video resonated with your soul, if you felt seen today, please like this video and share it with someone who might be the black sheep of their own life. And don't forget to subscribe. In this community, you are never the outsider. You are the standard. Until next time.